my favorite kind of drink to have with Carrie. A drink that nobody can see me having with her. Well, folks, here we are at Journey's End. So let's get in there, and let's get in there good indeed. Am I missing something? Carrie had a perfectly good, terrible breakup story. Burger's Post-it note? Anyone? But no, she had to go straight to her husband's death, which I guess is her entire identity now. Carrie the overdressed widow, Jackie no. And now for a brief check-in with Samantha. I mean Seema. Honey, if you're the one filling my shoes, I'm gonna need you to step up your game. No true friend is going to sit there listening to their recently widowed best friend pour their heart out with a mouthful of dick. I would never half-ass anything, whether it's being there for my friends or fucking. You can do both, just not at the same time. I'm a slut, but I have my boundaries. And Miranda, can you just let Carrie believe Big is in heaven? You're obnoxious enough these days without going full Neil deGrasse Tyson. And for the record, no, I don't believe Big is in heaven trying to send a message through Carrie's lamp. He's in the room with her, concentrating very hard on flicking the switch. Didn't any of you see Ghost? And I know what you're thinking regarding this text. Why would I be so cryptic and simply say soon? Quite frankly, at the time, I had a mouthful of dick. And let me get something straight. Miranda's supposed to meet Che's family, and she shows up looking like their abuela? I mean, it wasn't great when she was walking around with a backpack full of mini Tito's bottles, but nobody needs to see her with a purse full of Werther's Originals. And Carrie is keeping her husband's ashes next to her shoes. That might have been an ideal final resting place if you were married to Quentin Tarantino, but you weren't. And Che. I have spoken about Che on this channel, but now, dear viewers, we are going to talk about Che. You know what? Hold on. I need a refresh on my martini for this shit. How is a podcast filled with random woke moments more offensive than all of the Joe Rogan N-word episodes combined? Good job inventing the phrase woke moment and then turning it into a jump scare. Because what we all really want when we're listening to a podcast is to be spontaneously cattle prodded with a meaningless catchphrase. But honestly, I understand why you'd want to keep a button like that on hand to let everyone know how unproblematic you are, seeing as how you're just a full-blown psychopath with everyone you claim to care about. This is how we're introduced to Che, cornering Carrie in an elevator and threatening to fire her if she doesn't open up about her sexual life, all while filling the elevator with marijuana smoke. Getting high at a funeral with a teenager where they barely know anybody, including said teenager. Insulting the shirt of one of the people in the front row of their stand-up special apropos of nothing. This man wasn't heckling Che. They just decided to drag the fashion choices of one of their biggest fans. Visiting your bedridden coworker under the pretense of cheering them up with tequila, then drinking said tequila, fucking their best friend in the kitchen, and filling their entire apartment with marijuana smoke. Again, leaving Miranda on red for 3 months, and then blaming it on doing too much weed. Provoking your lover to leave her husband of decades, and then shaming her when she brings you cookies. Planning a special karaoke jam where you announce to your loved ones, including your girlfriend who just left her husband, that she'll be leaving for California and making them listen to the worst version of California Girls I've ever heard. And announcing to your employees that you're closing up shop because you got a better gig in California with absolutely no hint of remorse. Fuck them, I guess. So yes, congratulations on not being problematic and just being a plain old ordinary fuckboy. And trust me, I can spot a fuckboy a mile away, even without that mid-2000s fuckboy haircut of yours. Vanilla ice cold, he's more than happy to let you keep it. And despite this mile-long rap sheet of offenses, everyone seems completely oblivious to what a thundering asshole Che is. And I do mean everyone. But enough about what a goddamn awful person Che is. Let's talk about what a god-awful comedian they are. Their whole idea of comedy revolves around congratulating themselves, whether it's fucking their entire fan base, musing about how their entire family loves them, or doing some Andy Kaufman-esque musical number announcing that they're going to Hollywood to do a TV show. And what exactly is this TV show going to be? What are we all tuning in for week after week? Because you've compared yourself to Roseanne, and everyone on that show was miserable, and it was funny because they were miserable. I never thought a comedian wouldn't understand comedy, but here we are. Because that's what comedy is. It's pain and strife, but there isn't a single moment where everything isn't coming up Che Diaz. You're basically the non-binary version of Tony Robbins, right down to your propensity for sexually harassing your fans.
Sure, if you want me to fuck you.
You don't deserve Tony Danza. In fact, you don't deserve Scott Baio. Carrie managed to find the two worst representations of Gen Z, but somehow she found them in two Gen Xers who are deep into middle age. And can I just ask you, what kind of assholes invite their friends to what is ostensibly a wine and cheese soiree and ambush them with their own wedding? It's like we're watching the Kanye West and Julia Fox of unlistenable podcasts. And Jackie, you're in your 50s, sir. Why is the person you hired to officiate your wedding encouraging you to do it for the gram? And what is Jackie wearing? I mean, my God, it looks like he got into a drunken bar fight at a sip and paint. And that's nothing to say of his earlier decision to walk the streets of New York looking like Parappa the Rapper.
Who is this fashion god?
Well, all I can say is it's a good thing I made 3 martinis. And I mean, can we please talk about hot podcast producer guy? He tells Carrie she's the ideal podcast host, right down to having that voice. What voice is that? The voice of a helium-filled prude? And Naya. No notes. Honey, you're doing great. And I've been waiting for this shit. Who knew that Miranda would turn out to be the biggest hypocrite of all? Chasing Che to California when she shaded Carrie for the exact same thing with Alexander Petrovsky years ago? Listen, I'll give it to you. Alexander was an asshole. But at least you could fry an egg on their sex life. That shit was fire. Hell, I wouldn't have minded a go with him. And that isn't even the full extent of Miranda's hypocrisy. She started out saying you had to do more than wear a pussy hat. And look at her now. Here she is with her whole head back inside a pussy. And then, of course, here comes Rabbi Jen to absolve them of all their shittiness. I know absolution is a part of the rabbi gig, but come on, lady, just let them have it out. Miranda had this shit coming. And going back to fashion, I love a turban. But why did LTW insist on showing up in one from the Zombie collection? All right, I don't even know how many martinis I've had, but I'm just going to say it. Rock is a brat. Your family hired a trans rabbi. Everything is rainbow colored, and they reserved a banquet hall at Dylan's Candy Bar. They're giving you the most loving, inclusive, and fabulous day mitzvah a 13-year-old could ever ask for. And right before the ceremony, you're like, nah? My God, you're out here making me wish I was trans and Jewish. You couldn't just read the damn Torah and renounce the religion at breakfast tomorrow?
And Charlotte, Miranda and I spoke, and she's not coming to Paris. So I guess it's just us 2 girls, or ladies, as I am all grown up now. Well, thanks, but you 2 got me this far. I think I can do the rest on my own.
Way to just disinvite Charlotte when you realize you wouldn't have Miranda there as a buffer. I get it, though. I wouldn't be able to subject myself to pure uncut Charlotte either. And damn it, Carrie's moment on the bridge was so lovely, until I realized that those gloves made her look like Christopher Lloyd had just murdered a My Little Pony. Carrie, you look like you're about to do the dishes in a room full of Ebola, and that's to say nothing of this lunatic dress. Why did you feel like you need to do this dress as Cinderella doused in Tang? Well, folks, it's been an infuriating and exhausting 10 weeks, but we made it. Will we see each other again? Who's to say? But as for me, I'm off to smash some young Pete Davidson Machine Gun Kelly type. What? They're all the rage. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. I so appreciate your support. Cheers until next time. Maybe.